I'm gonna record with my phone too, just in case something like it doesn't save to my computer or something weird. That way we don't have to do it all over again.
Perfect.
Okay. Okay. Who did the title page?
I did.
Okay. Can you just go over the title page real quick and then we'll start?
Yeah, this is our replication project report done by Becky Creek, Judith Showers, and Victoria Phillips for Ball State University.
The abstract. Social media usage has been identified as a problem in our day and society. Many individuals rely on social media as a time filler for several hours of their day. While this problem has been identified, there are currently not many studies done on interventions that can be implemented to decrease this harmful behavior. The purpose of the study is to replicate a package intervention previously completed by Leslie Stinson and Jesse Dallery, who implemented 3 interventions together to reduce the risk of or the use of social media. The findings in the study validate the previous findings in the original study that a package intervention, including contingency management, application limits, and alternative reinforcers, can effectively decrease daily social media usage. Literature review. In 2024, the average person spent 143 minutes on social media daily, compared to 2014, in which the average person spent 104 minutes on social media daily. The usage of social media has drastically increased in the past 10 years, and this could have caused harm to the individuals that indulge in social media usage the most. According to this source, research has shown that the duration of social media use is associated with depression and other psychiatric diagnoses, such as mood and personality disorders. Therefore, the number of minutes spent on social media could be directly linked to an increased risk of being diagnosed with depression and other disorders that affect mood and personality. Within the same study, the researchers found that adolescents in the United States who spent more than 3 hours per day on social media had an increased likelihood of reporting high levels of internalizing problems. Examples: feeling negative emotions or experiencing sleep issues, which may heighten the risk of social media or risk of mental health difficulties. When younger individuals are spending excessive amounts of time on social media, this can be harmful for their development, self-image, and sleep hygiene. The development of adolescence includes maximizing learning opportunities and inclusion in their home and community lives. When they're speaking or spending more time on social media, this takes away from those opportunities and they may feel less fulfilled in life compared to a young person who spends less than 3 hours per day on social media. While this is true for adolescents, it can also ring true for adults alike. Checking social media can become habitual and habits can be difficult to break, especially when the habit has been ongoing for several years and increasing in frequency and duration over time. To begin the replication portion of the project, the subjects first identified baseline data for social media usage. Before establishing a baseline, information was given and gathered amongst the 3 subjects to identify the operational definition of social media usage to protect treatment integrity. Each subject reported back that they spent an average of 3 hours per day on social media each. The subject group then decided which interventions would be a part of the package intervention to effectively replicate the study named Reducing Problematic Social Media Usage via a Package Intervention. Once the intervention was chosen, then the subject set a goal of 1 hour or less on social media per day by utilizing the intervention package. The original study utilized contingency management, application limits using technology, and providing an alternative behavior to engage in other than social media as their package intervention. Contingency management has been used as a treatment for cell phone usage in the past, with a study completed by Stanley et al. Finding that social media usage was decreased by 30% when addressing using contingency management. Contingency management is utilized by the subject of the study receiving a reinforcer after meeting the target goal. The application limits using technology was utilized by the subjects of the study, setting screen time limits on their cell phones and other devices in which social media was accessed, so that a timer would go off once they met their limit for the day. The third intervention used in the package was offering an alternative behavior that serves the same function as social media. This including engaging in other activities such as meeting up with a friend or having a phone conversation with a friend rather than engaging with them over social media. The replication study subjects chose to use the same 3 interventions within their package intervention to ensure the complete and accurate replication of the project. The subject group chose to set their daily social media limit at 1 hour per day and accomplish this goal by utilizing contingency management application limits and allowing access to alternative reinforcers through using a DRL. The purpose of the study was to identify the excessive use of social media and then decrease the use by utilizing evidence-based practices as a package intervention. It is proven through research that social media usage in large amounts can be harmful to individuals. Therefore, it was important to the subjects that they decrease the amount of time they spent on social media per day. While replicating the study completed by Stinson and Dallery, there were several objectives to keep in mind, such as individualizing the interventions to the replication subjects, identifying changes made through the intervention, including them in the study, maintaining treatment integrity, and self-reporting as written in the behavior contract. Each subject of the replication group agreed to the above condition and maintain integrity through self-reporting and correct and honest data collection by collecting IOA data and communicating with other members throughout the course of the study. The treatment package was utilized correctly by each member throughout the course of the study, and no changes needed to be made concerning contingency management application limits or alternative reinforcers throughout the DRL throughout the replication study.
Methods, participants, and settings. The participants in our replication included 3 females, Becky C., Judy S., and Victoria P., and we all range in ages from 25 through 29. We are all bachelor level students taking online courses at Ball State University. All participants spent long amounts of time scrolling on social media daily. This time ranged from 8 to 6 hours daily. This included scrolling on applications such as Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. None of the participants in this replication had known each other prior to this project. All participants live in various parts of the United States, including Indiana and Ohio. Participants took data every 24 hours and recorded their daily data. All participants were interested in decreasing the amount of time they were spending on their phones and specifically how much time they were scrolling on social media applications. Materials. For our study, we did not have to use many materials. We set our phones to notify us when we have been using social media for an hour. To collect our IOA data, we use the reports that our phones create about our screen time. Lastly, we use Google Sheets to collect our data and use this to help us create our graphs.
Behavior definition. Social media usage was operationally defined as any instance that a subject opens social media on their electronic device of any kind. Platforms on these electronic devices that were considered social media were Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Examples of social media usage include subject 1 opening Facebook on their phone to browse, subject 2 opens Instagram on their phone to like a friend's post. Non-examples include subject 3 opening the camera on their phone, or subject 1 opens a game on their phone to play it. And then this is an example of a behavior data sheet that we used to collect data on how much time we spent on social media. Data collection. The participants chose to take data via an Excel or Google Sheets. Each member added their data onto the Excel sheet on a scheduled minimum of once per week. The participants included the date, their name, and the total number of minutes spent on social media per day. Once there were 25 data points, each participant created a graph using Excel and included the phase change lines and following APA guidelines. Each participant was also required to complete IOA data throughout the study to establish treatment integrity as well. And then design. For the replication study, the participants used the ABAB design. This treatment design includes a baseline phase, a treatment phase, a second baseline phase, and finally a treatment reintroduction phase. The participants chose this treatment design due to the nature of the intervention, as well as being able to identify a functional relationship between the intervention and the reduction in social media usage.
I think your mute button's on.
Thank you. Baseline and treatment phase. Baseline. During our baseline period, participants took data for 3 days on how much time they were spending on social media. This data was taken in the form of minutes spent on 3 different social media applications collectively. The 3 applications we tracked time spent on were Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. During this baseline phase, none of the participants had application limitations and were able to spend the typical amount of time they would normally spend on these applications. Information phase. We read the same articles that were presented to the original participants of our replication. They presented 2 articles to their participants. The article by Levison et al. Talked about the correlation of social media use and sleep disturbance among young adults. The study showed that young adults from ages 19 to 32 who had a median of 61 minutes of social media use, over half of the participants reported medium to high levels of sleep disturbance. The next article shares the statistics of social media use and the increased risk of mental health issues. The study performed by Kira E. Ream et al. Showed that adolescents who spent more than 3 hours a day on social media may have an increased risk for mental health issues. After reading these two studies, we collectively came to the conclusion of limiting our access to an hour a day. Communication. We communicated through email and also through chats on a Google document. Well, in the Google document, we used the chat feature that it offers to discuss the different parts of the replication and how we wanted to proceed. We communicated through email about due dates and other questions and concerns we had throughout the project process. Differential reinforcement of low rates of behavior. We used differential reinforcement of low rates of behavior because it was scientifically proven. It is a scientifically proven way to help reduce behaviors that are acceptable but are occurring at rates that are too frequent. Differential reinforcement of low rates (DRL) of behaviors works by setting a criterion that you deem to be an acceptable number of occurrences. We decided to use DRL because the use of social media is acceptable, but the amount of time that you are spending on it can have negative effects on your mental and even your physical health. We used the DRL to be able to decrease the amount of time we were spending on it, but also allowing us to still engage in looking at social media, which is socially acceptable. DRL is run by setting a certain criterion, which in this case we decided was an hour, and then you collect data by recording the frequency of the behavior is occurring. We collected data on how many minutes we were scrolling on social media. Then finally, you reinforce the appropriate behaviors. In our replication, we reinforce using a sweet treat such as ice cream or candy. IOA. We checked our IOA data by checking the automatically generated reports that our phones create. We used these to help make sure that the data we were tracking was completely accurate. By using this, we were able to have a 100% agreement. Treatment integrity. One thing we did to protect our treatment integrity was to collect data the same exact way as each other, making sure we were all staying within the same baseline and treatment phases. There was some confusion on using the ABA design, though, and one group member did not use withdrawal during her replication. We attempted to protect our treatment integrity by communicating through email and keeping everyone on the same page. Our percentage of treatment integrity was 100.
Results. In conclusion, our results are similar to the study we replicated. The results of the study we replicated were that with interventions, the participants were on social media at or below goal levels. Within our study, we have similar results. Although some of our levels were above goal levels on some interventions, we averaged at or below goal levels for social media usage. The independent variable in our study is excessive use of social media, and the dependent variable is reducing social media usage. In our study, the intervention was effective. And then here's a table of the average and range for the three of us. And then we have all three of our graphs shared on here. Do you want me to read limitations, Becky, since I did some of it and you've read a lot?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, limitations. The participants in the replication study identified several limitations throughout the course of the study. One limitation the participants faced had to do with the application limits set on their devices. For example, when setting a screen time limit on their cell phones, there was always an option for ignore limit for today. When given this option, the participants found it difficult to avoid choosing the option to not ignore the limit and choose an alternative reinforcer. This led to higher amounts of social media usage overall, specifically during the treatment phases in which the screen time limit was imperative to follow. One participant reported that they strategically placed their phone out of sight in another room to avoid the urge and habitual movement of picking up their phone. While this is a good strategy in theory, the participants found themselves seeking out their phones anyways due to notifications popping up on their smartwatches. The third limitation the group identified was that screen time overall did not decrease due to the study only focusing on social media. So while the participants were not engaging with social media, they were choosing to use other applications such as watching videos or playing video games. Additionally, there were other barriers that the participants faced throughout the course of the study. The participants reported that all communication occurring online had been a challenge to collaborate on the study. Each participant had a conflicting schedule with several components such as school, family, and work responsibilities. Finding a time to communicate that worked for all three participants proved to be difficult throughout the course of the study. In order to communicate effectively, the group engaged in trial and error with several platforms. From time to time, the participants would change in which way the information was relayed to one another and had to work together to find a time to collaborate with each other. The participants communicated via chat on Google Docs, Canvas messages, and email to find times to meet, to compare data, and report how data collection was going and if success with interventions was occurring. The group reinforced one another's behavior by providing verbal praise when a participant reported positive results from the intervention.
And then this is the reference page. And then the contribution log, which shows who did what. I think that's it. Did any of you guys have anything you wanted to add?
I don't think so.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna stop.
I don't think so either.
I'm gonna stop the screen recording.